I can tell you straight to your face right now, it is the hardest selection process in the world, and it is the best special forces unit in the world. I've worked with all, either with or against most special forces around the globe, and we are head and shoulders above everyone. Fact. Today, if somebody hasn't got the latest designer jeans or the internet for 2 hours, they've got fucking PTSD. And that's why we're having the situations today of so many poor people that are taking their own lives because they're not getting the help that we need.
Well, look, I know you've done loads of these interviews, and what I'd really like to do today is get into the mind of one of the highest ranking SAS soldiers in the public eye today. So Mark, can I take you back to your childhood? You were brought up in Warsaw, a bit of a fighter, which I relate to being brought up in the 70s in Newcastle. Yeah, fighting was a big thing. What do you think, or what do you think that fighting spirit was all about? Where do you think it came from, Mark?
I think, I came from a poor area, poor background, not that's an excuse. No, I'm not looking for an excuse. I think I was looking for a status, trying to be somebody, because I was young and I'm a middle child. Middle child, we're all different. We really are. And, I remember seeing all the gangs around my area and the older guys who'd been in brawls and been in and out of child prison and thinking that was the right thing. And that was tough because everybody seemed to know them and kind of look up to them for some strange reason. I thought, that's who I want to be. I want to be a tough guy. So I set out on this journey to prove myself. Yeah, so that was it. I was looking for status, I think. I was looking to try and be somebody, I wanted to be like the face, the name around town. I mean, looking back, I think it was stupid, but it's that time in your life where you don't know who you are, what you are, or where you're going,
How do you think that served you today, that sort of fighting little boy?
It gave me the grit, the courage, and the willpower to never give up. It really did. And that's helped me, especially through my military life, getting into the military, and then the life I had through the military, which was tough. We had some hard times. And just having that background, that foundation, it gives you a foundation. I could fall back on it. Being hard, being wet, being uncomfortable, being somebody trying to hurt you, it was nothing new to me. You just get on and get on. It almost became part of life. You just get on with it. So that childhood gave me a great foundation, as hard as it was. And a lot of the lessons I learned through that childhood, I never want to repeat. I wouldn't like to see anybody else go through it, or my kids, it's the classic case of don't reinvent the wheel. So I pass on my lessons through the book, through talks, through talking to people of don't go the route I did. And to be fair, I had a little bit of that myself, through the older generations. As a young kid in that crazy world that I was in of thinking I was tough, I did gravitate towards older people. And I thought, I kind of knew, I was smart enough to know then they've been through this. And I'd listen to them. You take a bit of it and then go and sample your own way anyway. But I guess I had a little bit of knowledge, which maybe if I hadn't have spoke to these people, I probably wouldn't be sat here speaking to you now. I would have gone totally wayward.
I'd like to get back to that point where you think you'd be if you'd gone down a different path, and maybe this is the incident. There was an incident at the in the beginning of the book where you talk about stealing hats. And you tried to steal one gentleman's hat. Can you tell me a little bit about that incident and what impact it had on your life?
It was, it was a crazy little fetish. I was looking for status, as I said, and I thought everybody's doing different things. I thought, I'll steal these hats. I don't know why I did it. Well, for any reason, but I stole lots of them, and it was easy because all older guys, generally 78-year-old people. This one particular day, I stole this hat, and the old guy, he caught me. And he was a big old fella, and he chased me, and my two friends who were with me, my two friends legged it, left on my own, rightly so. And I ran into a dead end, and he captured me. And I was expecting a good hiding. So he's got me trapped, and I just jump into a boxing stance. Never boxed in my life. And he just stood up and he said, I'm going to have to swear, I'm sorry, but this is what he said to me. He goes, right, you little shit. He said, there's something about you. Keep the hat. And he said, come to my gym. And I thought, that was weird. So, but I threw the hat back to him as he grabbed it and ran. And I remembered where he told me where the gym was, which I knew anyway. It was a pub where my dad drank. And I went there. The next day I went there. I was 9 years old, you know, and you imagine your child today, if you have a 9-year-old walking downtown, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night in the dark, in February, through the snow to meet an old man around the pub. Someone told me to do that. Well, it's the safest places I've been today. You know, we've all got communications. There's more streetlights everywhere. There's more people about. There's cameras everywhere. Of course, you've got to be sensible. Why it becomes dangerous? But when we were growing up, I was growing in my time, there was none of that. There was hardly any street lamps, you know. There was certainly no mobile phones. And it was just a bizarre, but something told me, go and meet this guy. And he became a very influential man. And I can't even remember his name. I think it was Robert Mitchum, like the film star. And this old boy, he probably had a similar lifestyle to I had, where somebody must have given him a chance because he had no reason to do that. And anyway, he took me into this boxing club that he was running, and it was all poor kids from it was gangs that I've been fighting against. So I knew all the people in there by face mainly. And he taught me how to box, and he told me what boxing was about. And he said, boxing's not a sport of brutality. Boxing's a poor man's game of chess. And he stood me there and said, it's about what you see in front of you, anticipating the next move, reading what is coming towards you, being able to use your mind and your feet to get you out of trouble. He said, you'll win your fight if you box with that and your feet, not this. Being smarter, being ready to move and blocking. And he told me all these things. And the key word was, and this is very, very true, I always talk about this, is he said to me, when you feel like you can't go anymore, you can. Always go a little further. Always a little further. And he said to me, I never forget it. It might have been not the exact words, but that's what he said. And then, you know, later on in life, I ended up in the SAS, and that's our mantra. It's on our clock tower, you know, for the unfortunate people that didn't come back from war and stuff. Yeah, always a little further was the last line.
What you mentioned there, that he saw something in you.
Yeah.
What do you think he saw in you?
Drive, ambition, wanting to do something, not you know, willing to get up and go forward. I had an energy, I suppose. You could tell probably like you can read people. I love to sit on a Sunday morning, have a coffee and read people. You can go, he's going through a bad time, or she's going through, or they're not together, that's an affair. They're doing this. Oh, they're about to break up. Do you know what I mean? You can read people.
Cafe watching is great fun. It is, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, you know, and I've had the you know, the experience of being a directing staff in the Parachute Regiment and the SAS. I know how to read people. So I guess he was able to read me and think, all right, he's a naughty kid. He's got good energy. I can see what he's probably trying to do, and I can help him. I can make some good of this kid. I can put him on the straight and narrow as best I can and give him an opportunity, give him a chance. I guess he just wanted to give me a chance. But what he saw in me was, I think, energy and drive.
Do you think that was quite a pinnacle point in your life? Did that change potentially where you were going?
It was definitely one of many. I was very fortunate to meet a number, and we can talk about it a bit later on. But yeah, he was definitely a pinnacle in my life, because I was 9 years old and I'd already been drunk on whiskey. I'd been in fights, you know, I'd been stealing. I was already going crazily off the tracks. And he basically went, right, stop, put me on the tracks. And he kept controlling me and taught me things over like 3 times a week. So Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Friday nights, I was there. I was turning up on time and training because I was loving it. I was loving what I was learning, and I was loving being disciplined. So as much as people go, I hate being told what to do and I hate discipline, that's bullshit. We all get told what to do anyway. And I was embracing it. It made me feel good. But then it made me not to become like a robot. He taught me how to do something. Then I thought, I'll try my own little way of doing things. And again, he saw in me potential. Well, you know what? You can think outside the box. And he was a great influential guy in my life. Of course, I was still getting in trouble quite a bit at school. Well, in school when I was in school, which wasn't very often. And, you know, on the days that I wasn't going training, I was still that naughty kid. But had he not been there, my direction of trouble was like that now, it'd still been like this. That's where everybody starts, you know, a petty little thief, stealing cars, fighting, drugs, which I've never got into, thank God. You know, and it goes on and goes on, and you end up down that rabbit hole. You end up in that wrong side of the law, and you're nailed.
And then you took it one stage further. You joined the Parachute Regiment. How was, because you joined very young, you joined as a teenager. How was it being in that regiment, essentially going from a boy to a man in those years?
Yeah, I'll tell you honestly. I mean, I think because I was a cadet anyway, I knew, and there was a choice why I went to the Parachute Regiment, and it was, you know, having spoke to a lot of people after the Falklands War. The Falklands War had come back, and these are what I think I aspired, I really wanted to be. I was always looking up to somebody and thinking, I want to be like that person there. I want to be that tough guy, the guy who had stupid tattoos under his eyes and broken nose, and I thought, I want to be like him. He's a tough guy initially, and then as I went through this process of being put back on the track, on the right road, and realizing I need to change my life, when I end up in the Parachute Regiment, I'm now looking at people it was literally just after the Falklands War, everybody been to war. So I remember looking at them thinking, wow, these have been through the mill, they've been tested, they've seen people die around them. And there were such nice, hard, humble people. There were no nonsense people. None of this mamby-pamby old, you know, like we have today. It's no bullshit. You will do this. It's black and white. And they weren't bullies, they were fair. And my instructor was a Scouts guy called Scoutsman Jarrison, Corporal Majerison. And he was just, I remember seeing him for the first time, looking at him, and he had a massive scar across his face, still healing. He'd been shot in the face in the Falklands. And he was like it never happened. He didn't even talk about it. And he was just bang. You could see the hardness in his face and the professionalism in this guy. And I looked at him thinking, wow. And as a young kid staring at him, thinking, I want to be like him. But I knew it was a long road to get to where he's been. You know, I've got to get through training. But looking at, he's my instructor, and I thought, there's my role model right there. I want to be like him. And that's what I wanted. And he was nothing. It was another rocket up my ass to say, don't give up. Don't give up. I can't go back to the life I did in the Midlands because I ain't going to survive it. You know, I want to make my family proud and of all the bad stuff I've done in the past as a kid. I want to put that record straight. And I want to be somebody decent. I want to do good things with good people and you know, be somebody. And there was my role model right there.
And you were somebody in the Parachute Regiment, as I understand. Where did you get to in the paras?
You know, after I'd done a number of tours with the Parachute Regiment, jungle tours, exercises and operational tours successfully, including Northern Ireland, where we'd lost about 5 people, I think, on one particular time, which was quite sad. But when seeing real conflict and war and what that really means, and seeing somebody dead properly for the first time that you really respected, and for, you know, that guy was trying to just do a good thing for someone else actually and change his world or whatever situation for the greater good, and he's paid with his life. And that was in Belize. I just joined. I just finished training and got through all the training. I was a champion recruit. I went to my battalion, and when I went to the battalion, my battalion was already posted out to Belize. So I had about a week with the rest of the lads that we passed out, 4 of us, just hanging around doing what they call rear party. So you do the guards on the gate and you get to learn. And there's some old guys there that have been in the Parachute Regiment into war, and they're probably going to be leaving. So they stay behind and do the guard duties at the camp. And there was one particular guy called Benny Bentle, who was a wonderful guy. And he was just staying back for a short period. And then he was going back out to Belize just to finish that tour off. And then he was leaving the military. He'd been to the Falklands. He'd been in the military for a long time. He was getting married. So he was going to do the Belize tour just to get some money behind him so he can get married, get his wedding out of the way and all that. Wonderful guy. And it was the first time after going through all the training where somebody kind of sat down to us instead of shouting at us, you know, because it's military, you get screaming and shouting to get you through the training. He was the one who sat down and told us what it's all about. He goes, guys, you know, this is what you need to look out for. This is what you don't want to be doing. Don't try and do this. And he was great. He was a brilliant, brilliant guy. So I then go out to Belize, and I'm now new there, you know, this new guy, learning eyes this wide, learning all these new skills and learning the lessons he was telling me as well. And then one day, while I was in Belize, the alarms went off on the camp to say something's bad, something's happened. He kind of knew someone's probably died. Anyway, long story short, I was down near the gym by the pool and the open plane where the helicopter landed. And as the helicopter landed and brought the body off, it was Benny. It was that guy. And for me, my whole life just sank. The reality of where I was and what world I was in now just bang unfolded in front of me. And I remember looking at him thinking, I was only speaking to him 2 months ago. He was the one who would give me all the advice and that great information. And the poor guy, I remember, was only out here to the end of his time. He was killed, got shot.
Did that make you feel angry or just feel like, oh my God, I can't do this? Well, obviously you didn't quit. But how did it make you feel? Because I guess everyone must have a very different reaction to that, and that would determine how you go forward.
I think I had an array of emotions in a very short period of time, you know, from anger to disbelief to sadness to thinking, what am I doing? Why am I here? I don't want to be end up like this. And I think I processed all that pretty quickly. Went, I'm here for a reason. Same reason he was here. You know, unfortunately, his life's been taken, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have changed any. Obviously, not wanting to get killed. The jobs he's been doing and what we was there for was the right reason. I just thought it gave me strength, if nothing. If I'm honest, he said to me, you know, I'm doing it for good people like him, to carry on his name now and what he's done and the next. It just made me stronger and thought, if it happens to me, it happens to me. I hope it don't, of course, but that's the game I'm in. So it just made me feel I've just got to be more aware and just learn lessons and just go forward. Just don't give up.
You mentioned reason there. I've spoken to a number of vets and veterans, and they've all mentioned different things about why they joined up. What was your main reason when you mentioned that I had a reason?
There's a number of reasons why I joined up. I think if you had to put them in a list, one was I felt I had to. I needed somebody, a stronger structure around me to survive. I need to be directed. I need to be in an environment where I ain't going to get away with what I get away with. I needed a harder discipline. My dad was a wonderful disciplinarian of the family. It's just he couldn't control me. He was working 12-hour shifts most of the time. Mum was doing the same. And I was manipulating, and I knew I was. You know, looking back, it's one of the biggest regrets I had. But in the military, hey, if you stepped out of line, you were going to get put back in line. That's how it was, and that's how it should be. And I knew that was the reason. I knew I needed that. I needed that. I also needed, you know, I needed to try and be somebody, to try and do something good. I wanted to do this because I knew what the military were doing. I was in the cadets for 6 years. And I spoke to all my friends before me who'd been in the cadets and been to war, not just war, been in the military and doing great things in UK and all around the world, not just in war, in general life anyway, in natural disasters and just doing the job, the peacekeeping type jobs. I listened to it and I thought, they're doing it for the greater good. You know, the army gets a bad reputation sometimes. People go, army, it's all guns and killing. It's far from it. It's actually the opposite. You're out there actually saving lives and changing lives and doing great things. And you're giving one hell of a sacrifice. You're sacrificing yourself, possibly your own life, your family, everything that's left and brought you into the world, you know? It's a big sacrifice. And I thought, that's another reason I want to do it. I want to do something. I want to give something back.
Not only did you serve, you went on to the SAS. Can you talk, I know you can't talk fully about it, but can you tell me a little bit about the selection process? Because I think that's quite relevant to what you're doing today, of course. But yeah, it's meant to be, it is one of the most grueling selections. Can you talk me through it?
I can tell you straight to your face right now, it is the hardest selection process in the world. And it is the best special forces unit in the world. I've worked with either with or against most special forces around the globe. And we are heads and shoulders above everyone. Fact. So, you know, in order to get to that sort of unit, it's one hell of a process. It's a tough, you never know from day to day, minute to minute, whether you're going to get through it. It really is a tough old process. And I remember turning up and I think it was 183 of us started and 7 of us finished and thinking, wow, you're just relentlessly being pushed physically, mentally. And one of the hardest parts of that process, which is different to everything you see on the TV show and SAS selection is totally different. There's one ingredient, I would say, a couple of ingredients, obviously the name SAS, but two, the ingredient on the show that when we DS grilling these celebrities and these normal guys and girls that come on the show, we call it a course, not a show, by the way. We take it very serious. We're looking for the ingredient, and the ingredient is you. Who are you? We don't care if you're the fastest, the fittest. Who actually are you when you're out of your comfort zone? What makes you tick? Have you got the drive to get up and go when everything's against you? Can you think outside the box?
And I don't think many people do know how they do cope in those situations. Because let's face it, we're not put in those. The most stressful situation is, God, shit, I've got a bill or my tax to pay, or there are stressful situations. There's horrible things that happen. There's a loss of loved ones. But the fact that you put yourself through an extreme physical and mental endurance pretty much every second of the day. I mean, how did you get through that? What does it take mentally to get through it, and physically? And I think the physical side is probably more well known because you see it, but it would be great to understand what you need mentally.
Firstly, you got to want it. You got to want to be there. As soon as you don't want to be there, you come out with a list of excuses. I'm missing my family. They're this, they're that, and it is excuses. And just to finish off that last bit about selection, so you're looking for the person, and you got to put them through make them uncomfortable and try and get them to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. No one's really comfortable with it, but that's what you're going to be in. It's going to be a hard, tough world. There's no luxuries. It's going to be hard. It's going to be horrendous, but you can do it as long as your mind tells you can do it. Your mind is the biggest tool in your armory, And when you're going through selection, you kind of set yourself barriers of, I'll take it week by week. So, you're really giving it all you've got, and you keep going and hoping you're doing good enough, and you're beating the times on the fitness, you're doing the challenges mentally, whatever they're asking you to do. And then when you get exhausted, which you do, you then go, I'll take it day by day. And you literally end up hour by hour. But what you don't do is give up. Don't be afraid to be told you didn't do great on that or whatever. Don't take that too harsh. Take it on the chin and go forward again. So you got to keep that mental drive is, I ain't going to give up. I'm going to keep going and keep going. And your body will follow it. As much as it hurts and it's painful, as long as once your mind gives up, your body gives up. Your body will give up if it's broken, injured. As long as you're not injured, your body will go a lot further than you actually think it will go. But your mind drags you through it. Again, a big thing we're looking for is self-motivation. Now, in the army, the normal units, the parachute and Marines and all the rest of it, you are pushed by your mates. You are screaming and shouting at to get up there. If you're falling behind, then grab you and take you with them. And rightly so, because we need to. And when you're in battle, even with a regiment, that's what you'd have to do. You do it. But we're looking for somebody who's got that self-motivation, not somebody who needs to be shouted at. On SAS selection, you don't get shouted at. Not once. You get asked what to do. Be on the square tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock with your Bergen weighing 80 pounds, be ready to go on a march they won't tell you how far. That's it. You turn up with all the equipment. They don't scream and shout like in the parachute. You'll be like, right, on parade, blah, blah, blah. You'll be inspected. You're expected to be there with the kit. You're asked to do it. And for the first time in your military career, because you ain't been shouted at, some people can't get themselves up and do that. They need that person to drag them out of bed and tell them to be there and shout them. And we're not looking for that in the SAS, because you ain't going to be, a lot of the time, you're going to be on your own, behind the enemy lines, doing stuff. It's no one there to drag. You've got to be able to get yourself up and move forward. So that's the big ingredient that a lot of people a lot of men can't handle, not being dragged. And then they'll find an excuse, after, 10 days, 20 days of marching relentless over the hills, hundreds of kilometers with these houses on your back, and you got your knees are swollen, your back's killing you, you're aching. They're lying in bed that morning, it's tipping down around, and it's 4:30 in the morning, you got to get up. So, and most people say, I can't be asked. I'm not going to do it. And then the directing staff will walk in and go, no problem. You stay in bed, keep yourself warm. When you're ready, pack your kit and just go, you're done. Because we're not looking for that. But the people who can then get up, feeling uncomfortable, got sores to sort out on the back and their ankles, and who gets them. That's who we're looking for, because it been behind the lines. That's what you're going to be doing. You're on your own, and that's why so many people fail and give up. But 99% of those people have been there and done it. I'll turn around and make an excuse. Oh, I didn't get on with the directing staff. I was missing being home. It wasn't for me. Of course, it wasn't for you, because you weren't tough enough to do it.
What ingredients do you think you had that really made it through? Was there times that you just thought, fuck it, I want to give this up, I can't do it, I'd rather stay in bed?
Because nobody likes failure. And I think failure to me is, that's it. I'm now being buried, because I won't give up. I'll go and go and go. I'm not saying I'll always achieve, because I haven't achieved everything, but in my mind, I think my growing up and background has given me a good foundation. So I've got the hardcore. I'm not afraid of anything really. I'm going to give it as best I can, and it's just that mindset of, I want to do this. I've got to do it. I don't want to fail it. And in my head, that always a little further in my head. I used to have that in my head all the time. And I also there used to be a song called "Ain't Never Gonna Break My Stride," and I'd keep saying it as much as I was aching and it was killing me. I could see a little dot in the distance, which is the guy on the same route as me, who probably set off 20 minutes before me. And I'd look up and go, right, there he is, check my compass, put my compass away. And I'd be going really blasting away, saying this to myself, and forget the pain, I'm going to do it. And then I'd look up and he's bigger, and then I'm past him. Then the next one. And that's what I kept doing. And I always do it, I'll just keep going.
You mentioned fear. And I think that's something that you watch the TV series, and I put my hand up and go, I'm bloody scared. There was no way that I could do that. But you just said you're not frightened of anything. Is that true? You're not frightened of anything? And if so, how do you control your fear if you get it?
I don't know. I haven't found anything I'm really petrified of. Or
are you scared of dying? Are you frightened of dying?
No, I don't. Of course, I don't want to die. No one. You want to see your family grow up. You want to see it. That. But I'm not afraid of dying. No, because it's going to come. It's inevitable, isn't it? No one gets out of this life alive. That's a fact. We all know that. But I'm not afraid of dying. No.
That's one thing that we've got definitely guaranteed. Yeah, we're all going to die at some time. And I know you can't talk in detail about the stuff that went on in the SAS and the operational tours. Is there anything that you can talk about if I asked you what one of your most challenging moments was?
No, I can't talk about direct operational stuff, but I was fortunate enough in the military, in the SAS especially, to, do everything a soldier wanted to do. You want to be in battle and see what you're really going to be like. And I was fortunate with the regiment to do that numerous occasions, a lot. Also, to be able to do hostage rescue, go and rescue somebody when everything's against you and some poor person's been captured, and you just think, I was fortunate enough to do that as well. And when something like that happens and you're successful, it's like winning the lottery. It really is, and yeah, and indicting people for war crimes, people who've the Bosnia war, those people who are doing what they're doing right now in Ukraine, and going after them people after the war and getting them with the greatest jobs we ever did. And, I'm sure they'll be doing it again soon.
You were involved as well in the London bombings, and you said that the hostage. How do you prepare mentally for that? Is there a preparation that you go through? Or?
Oh, yeah, your whole military life within the regiment, you're on certain sort of operational statuses, set up for being abroad to do operations, UK operations. Counter-terrorist in the UK is a speciality that we have, and we take a period of time where you deal with that. And at the time, the London bombs, and that's what our role was. We were the counter-terrorist team, so we were ready for it. We trained. I say we're ready for it. You're never ready for really what's going to happen. Intelligence at the time told us other things were going on. So you've got 10 crocodiles coming towards your boat, if you like. It's waiting for that moment to see which crocodile gets closest, and the London bombings one was not the crocodile we were expecting. Although it was on the radar somewhere, that came a little bit of, there was other things more imminent, supposedly, and I think probably we sort of managed to halt that quickly because of what happened in London. And then you deal with it. And we train for every type of operation and every situation as we can, but there's always something. It's never goes to plan because there's always something surreal. There's always something different happens, and we hadn't had suicide bombers on the mainland, apparently. And, we had to deal with that. So it was, you were ready for it. And it's about being able to think on your feet as well and be able to read a situation and go, wow, find another way of skinning that cat. Because there's no template to dealing with that situation or that situation. There's a template to get you to where you need to be and a kind of guideline. Then you've got to think outside the box, go bang, well, this is happening now. This is how we're going to deal with it.
Is the secret in getting to that decision quickly, if something, like you say, something hasn't gone to plan, let's face it, all the best things don't go to plan. Is the decision-making process something that you sort of deliver over, or is it got to be quick?
Most of our stuff is instinctive stuff. You always start with a plan, hopefully, to get to it, to the start point, whether that's coming in from the skydiving in, coming under the sea, over land, or whatever it is. But you always find we plan for getting to that point and then hopefully taking on this situation. And normally you'll get to the start point. Normally, that doesn't always happen as planned. And then as soon as you step off that helicopter or you've landed in your parachute, it all goes to rat shit. It's all different. Fuck. There's 50 more people here, or a lot more people here than we expected. There's a situation we weren't expecting. There's school in the middle with children in it. There's this, there's that. So you got to think on your feet. So that comes with experience and time, doing other operations and lots of training and all that experience. So you've got a bag of tricks that you can quickly pull out and go think on your feet, go, right, okay, we need to go around that, we need to do this, we need to create a distraction, we need to, whatever it might be. And that's instinctive, because all live operational, when you're coming into combat, it's not textbook. There's no textbook way of doing anything. You don't know who's going to be in front of you. We went from somebody trying to kill you directly to now he's a running bomb. And the fact that you're stood in front of him, you probably, if you don't stop him quickly, he's going to take you out anyway.
I presume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're put into situations where it's either that person's life or that person's death. Or have you been in those situations where it's...
Yeah, but you have to make that decision quick. And this is where I think the army, the military lads have been let down a lot, especially, going back to the old days in Northern Ireland, where all of a sudden, oh, no, but you shot so-and-so, you did this. It's not as straightforward as that. There's so many distractions going on and other things. That soldier's got a split seconds, I think. And, and if he sees danger and that danger is directly at him, it's him or me, or it's him or you, his comrade, he's got to make that decision quick. He hasn't got a second. So you've got to analyze everything immediately and go, is it a threat? It's a threat. I've got to stop it. And if the only way to stop it is by maximum, it's always minimum force. That force might be to shoot that person or take them down. And that's what you got to do. And you train for that all the time. But it's the hardest decision in the world. And it's easy for people to sit back later and criticize and go, oh, well, you shot that guy. And actually, it wasn't a rifle he had. It was an umbrella. I mean, in the midst of whatever, it might be the case. And I'm sure that soldier, if that was the case, that's a wild example, but, that soldier is then beating himself up. We're not callous people. You're like, nobody wants to go in there to take anybody's life at all. A soldier's decisions are really, really difficult. And it's horrendous, in fact, And a lot of these soldiers as well are young, away from home, and they've got all that, but they train well, they train hard. And 99.9% of the time, those decisions are right. And I hate the way that, you get ripped apart by the 1%, if that, by the media of how it's terrible, not supporting people.
Yeah.
People don't go out to do atrocities.
No, I completely agree. Did you, Mark, ever suffer, I mean, again, speaking to a lot of veterans, from PTSD?
No, I didn't. I struggled with understanding what PTSD was. I was like, I didn't believe in it because, all the stuff I've done and been through, it never bothered me. I would say it never bothered me. I think about situations. I think about people that have been with me that didn't come back. I thought about the situations where I probably still should not be stood here. But it doesn't drag me down. Sometimes I get to a point where I feel a little bit dark, but I'll go and have a beer and I'm sorted. But the thing is, every human being is different. We're different, So I don't judge anybody that has had problems. I started to realize that PTSD is real in the soldiers' world. When a very, very close friend of mine had a very bad situation and probably should never come out of it, but he did. And he was just the same as I. And he'd been through a lot of stuff before and never bothered him. And then one night we're having a beer and he broke down. He's literally grabbing me crying. I can't handle a man crying on me. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. We sat down and we spoke a lot about it. And then I realized it is real. It is true. And, but then I used to think, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, soldier's life is tough. It's hard. We do train. We do you are aware you're going to go into battle. So you kind of should be ready for it. But some stuff you can't process later on. And then I used to always say to myself, hang on a minute, there's nurses dealing with children dying of cancer every day. How the hell are they dealing with this? How are they going through it? Yeah. I'm jumping back and forward here a little bit, but my point is we are all different. It's true. It is true. And it's terrible for people who've got it. It really is. The issue I have with it is, and I say it on the talks and I say a lot is, today, if somebody hasn't got the latest designer jeans or the internet for 2 hours, they've got fucking PTSD. They've got a mental problem. And that's a problem. And all these type of people are jumping on this bandwagon, and we can't deny them because you don't know what's inside someone's head. But the people who really need the help, then that gets diluted. And that's why we're having the situations today of so many poor people that are taking their own lives because they're not getting the help that we need. And I'm going to deal purely with soldiers. A lot of those people out there got their own reasons for having PTSD and mental illness. Like I said, nurses, doctors, firemen, policemen, all sorts of normal civilians because of whatever. But it's just, it's an horrendous situation, but it's just hard to know who has and who doesn't have it. It's there. But me personally, I have my moments, a smell, a sound, or a picture will remind me of something. And it's just a sad moment. I mean, I've just been through a lot of sadness very recently, but we just have to, I'm the sort of guy that I deal with it my way, which is, it's happened. I can't change it. It is sad. And I can't sit here in a pity party because only I know what's in my head and my mind. And people can't help me if I don't tell them. So I always say, get up and go for it. Just get up and go. It's uncomfortable. It's going to hurt, but it's going to hurt less because I'm going to get through this quickly by doing something about it. Accepting it is the key.
So you would accept it and get up and do something about it.
And I always say the same thing. It's a process in time. It's happened and it will get better as long as I do something about it. If I sit here moping to myself and thinking that's everything's against me, then it's going to take a period. I probably might not get out of it, or it's going to take a lot longer than it should do. I just go, okay, it's happened. And I'm talking about death, loss of,
And I know you lost your parents within weeks of each other. That must have been quite a traumatic period for you.
That's probably, for me personally, the closest to PTSD I'd had at that time. And not the war and the conflict and the death of friends and whatever else. That, because you then realize somebody's so close to you. I can't have that chat with my mum and dad again. There's so many things I wanted to do. I wanted to tell them. And we all do. We all go, I'll do it another time. So my advice to anybody is, if it's something you want to tell your parents to do, or someone you love, do it. Do it. And don't fall out with people and family, because the worst thing, you don't know. You have that argument over something stupid, ain't worth it. Then the next thing you hear, they're dead. You've got that in your mind for the rest of your life.
When you have those tough moments, and I don't know if you sort of reflect back on it, are there things that you do to work through it? Do you have tools and techniques? I mean, you said...
Yeah, I do. My fitness is my decompression. I'll get up and I'll go for a jog. No, I'm not saying go out and thrash yourself. I'll get up and go for a walk, go for a run. or get out in the woods and just realize what's around you and how precious everything is, you know.
Yeah.
Take the dog for a walk, get out and take the dog, get up, do something physical. Something physical decompresses you, and then do a little bit more. Then all of a sudden your mind switch to improving your own mind and body state. That takes away that sadness again. And, you know, people go, well, I can't do that because I'm in a wheelchair. But you can. There's certain things you can do. You know, you can do exercise with your arms, with whatever you got that works or not. So everybody can do something. But for me, that's what I do. My fitness or getting out, getting up and moving forward.
After SAS, after the SAS, you went to a bodyguard for some of the most famous people. I'm listing a few: Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Michael Caine, Tom Cruise. There's a fair few there. How was that transition from the SAS, being an elite soldier, to being in front, being shot again, but this time by cameras, right? Very different.
Yeah. It was funny because, I mean, before I left, I did a little bit of moonlighting, you know, you're always at the point where you think, I want to change my life now. I've done 30 odd years in the military. What do I do next? And natural progression for most military people is security-based stuff anyway. A friend of mine had a security company that was looking after celebs and other high-ranking people, and just asked me, do you want to do a little bit of work for us, help me out? And I went, yeah. So I did a few weekends, and I kind of enjoyed it, but I stayed in the background at the time. And then it was time to leave, and I ended up with a job with Brad and Angie, and that was an hard transition. I was leaving. I wanted to leave. I didn't really want to go back into the Afghanistan and the security in Baghdad, you know, not without all the support that you had in the regiment. I thought, I've done all that. It's too risky, a lot of money, but it's not really what I want to do. I don't want to run around with a bunch of lunatics that I don't know, carrying weapons in a very hostile. And so a celebrity option of security was the option for me, because I hadn't done a little bit of moonlighting. I knew I already had all the skills. All I have to do is tone it all down to fit what they need. It's about their personal lives and protecting that. Not so much the physical side, it's more their image. I kind of learned as well, like you said, not being shot at anymore with a gun, it's now with a camera. But so I stepped out, and bearing in mind, Brad and Angie at the time were like the number one A-list in the world. So I've gone from this world of no one knows who I am, denied who I am but I needed a job, and first proper job I got, full job, was that. So to me, it was like the weirdest time in my life. I love the job, taking care of it. It was easy. It was staying out the media, people press, who is this guy, is this, trying to hide who I was. And I found that really uncomfortable. Everybody had a story about me, where I was and who I was in the SAS. I was in all sorts of stuff, nonsense. But I just never confirmed any of it. I just ignored it. Just leave it, let them build their own stories and, you know, protect my own little bit of sort of security as well as theirs. And that was the difficult bit, getting into that life. And then I just said, I've just got to accept who I am and get on with it.
And now you're the star in SAS Who Dares Wins. So you are now truly in the public light. How do you deal with being in the public light now?
You know what? I love it, Sonya. I love it. I didn't think I would. Like I say, when I first started, you know, doing the Bodyguard and stuff, and I was in the public light anyway. Then there was already a fan page and all that sort of craziness, and I was like dipping my toe in the water, and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just do it properly, and make the best of it. So, you know, it's only about 3 or 4 years ago, really, that I've started to really embrace it. I love what it gives me. I love the platform because it gives me great reach to help. I've got a number of charities, my charity in Haiti, which is my main one. I've got a military charity as well. It gives me so much reach to support and help them. You know, like right now, we're building an academy for the kids in Haiti.
Yes.
Just because of where I'm at, and the people are brilliant. You know, the people who follow us and all, they're fantastic. The donations and the help they've given us. So I love it. I love where I am. I like walking downtown now, and people come to me, can I get a selfie? I don't get generally any idiots coming and want to fight me and none of that stuff. They're good people, you know. And then I think back to the time when I used to work with all these celebs, and the joy I see on people's faces because they've just met Brad Pitt. Or this, that's me. I'm not Brad Pitt, but I mean, people, oh, you're the guy from the SAS. Yeah, yeah. And shake their hand and go, oh, man, I'm so. I didn't get it. I thought, I'm no different to you, which I ain't. I just did a different job and I'm on a TV. You know, we're all equals out there. We are. And I love it. I love it. And I love like I say, I love the platform it gives.
How does it feel? And I want to get on a little bit to SAS Who Dares Win, but I think this is fascinating because you're a huge role model for men. And I really don't think there's a lot of role models for men out there now. I think the role of the man has changed. If I think of sort of our generation and to younger generations, men have changed. And I think there isn't a lot of people necessarily to look up to in the right way. I mean, of course, there are great people out there, but you are a massive role model. How does that feel? And what sort of inspiration do you give other men?
I appreciate you saying that. You know, I want to be a role model, but I just think it is a shame we've lost role models. And you're right. Men have just, because everybody's too scared to tell the truth. You know why? Because they're going to upset somebody. The world is full of being upset and not upset, and you just fucking get on with it. And that's what it needs. People to go, oh, they won't tell the truth. I can't say that anymore because, no, say it. And eventually people will get used to it again. We've lost, like I say, I used to gravitate towards old men. The old man in the park, I'll be there kicking a ball around and I'll go and sit with an old guy. Nobody does that anymore. And I find myself, I am the old, if I'm walking through the park, somebody kicks a ball to me, I've started doing it myself. First thing, where's your parents? Fucking ridiculous. Instead of having a little kick around with the kids, because most people, oh, he's a weirdo. You're what's that? You're like, the world's become ridiculous. Stop it. Stop the nonsense. Is what I say. Quit it. Be yourself. Tell the truth. Life is hard. Life is a challenge. Say it as it is, and don't be afraid. And also, let's build our communities again. Instead of all individuals, it's all about me. It's all about. No, it's all about our communities. Coppers in your community that you can look up to, respect, learn discipline, you know, and parenting. Parenting is the biggest reason this is all screwed up. It's like people go, you can't have a certain dog because they're vicious. A pit bull. No, they're not. They become vicious because of the way you've treated it. You've got a bulldog, he's softer than frigging butter. It's how you bring them up and show them respect. And that's the same as kids. We're not role modeling. We're not gripping our kids. They're letting them get away with anything they want to do because we're too scared to upset. And, you know, schools, unbelievable. We can't have challenges in schools. What a nonsense. What a nonsense. It's crazy.
I think, yeah. I've got a lot of opinions on our education system. But yeah, that's for sure. Would you describe yourself as a compassionate man?
Yeah, very compassionate. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I get emotional about all sorts of stuff. I get involved in everything. I hate seeing people suffering. I hate seeing animals suffering.
Was there a place for emotions in the SAS?
There is. You know, you've got to show empathy. The beauty of the SAS is the great smart thing. You look at a situation and go, we realize, you know, like conflict and war isn't everybody in that country is now at war, so they're all the enemy. We realize most people there don't want to be in this situation. Most soldiers don't want to be in that situation. So we'll deal with that with a level of aggression or what it needs to get the job done, you know, to minimize people being killed or collateral damage or, you know, hurting people that don't need to be hurt, you know, just to take out the cancer. And the regiment's great for that. Take out the cancer and let everybody, you know, we're void of emotion at times and religion and culture and everything else. We're not. What's the problem? Who's the problem? It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. You're the problem. Your gender, your color, it doesn't matter. You're the problem. So you will be taken out. There's nothing vindictive about that other than you're a problem, and we're gonna come and cut you out. Well, we know everything around that is good people and suffer because of this, like we're having right now. So yeah, there is compassion. There is you know, empathy, and it's all mixed into. But you've got to stay focused to get the job done.
Comparing and contrasting that to the TV to SAS Who Dares Wins. Yeah. Looking at the contestants, I don't know if that's even the right word, but the recruits on the show. I mean, I'm watching that going, wow, I can't even believe they're doing that. How do you help them tap into always a little bit further when they've got nothing left in the tank? Because you can see they're pushing themselves.
No, that's the key. See, that's like, again, that comes from experience of, we're not there to break anybody. Anybody can break anybody. I could break you, I could break anybody. You could break me. We can all do that. It's not about breaking someone. It's about peeling them back to that point of, that is their most vulnerable point now. They're right on the edge of mental and physical enough. And at that point is recognizing that and being able to recognize that, and then building them up again. Giving them the encouragement, giving them the tools to go forward and improve. And that's what the show does. Those people, a lot of people come on there because they've got, they want to get off their shoulders. They want to really, and when they get it off the shoulders, you know, it's easy then to become all sympathetic. The sympathy sometimes makes it worse, because then they're like, oh, we go, okay, we'll get you. That's awful. What's that? Right now, let's go. And as soon as you go, like, oh, okay, spark back into it. They drop all that emotion, they drop all that sadness, all that help me sketch, and go, I'm going to do it. Everybody does it. And that's what we do. We appeal them to that point of, that's it now, done, bang, you're going to go forward. And it's tough love. You're going to get tough love to get there, because it's not me going to drag you there. You're going to take yourself there. And, you know, the fact that they didn't think they could do it, they thought they were probably going to get a little bit more sympathy and a little, no, done now. Here you go. And you can talk to anybody off the show. And I would say definitely everybody that I stay in touch with, which is nearly everybody, they'll go, thank you, you've changed my life.
Yeah.
From celebrities to almost, they go, you've changed my life. That time you did that to us, or did it. And the beauty of that is that mirror room thing, when that is exposed and we get them to their last, right on that edge, we're helping them. We know, don't go any further now, because that's enough. We'll build. There's 50,000 people the other side of that camera watching that TV going, I've been in that boat as well.
Do you know the backgrounds? I mean, the backgrounds are horrific. Some of the people, yeah, what they've been through, what they're going through, particularly the current series that's out there. I mean, are you aware of those backgrounds?
Those mirror rooms, that's why we do it. We're not allowed to know their backstories. We're not allowed to know who they are until they turn up that morning, because you can become biased. It can become, you know. So those stories, I have no idea what's going to come out of that person's mouth. And sometimes I found it really difficult when I used to do the interviews. They're called mirror rooms, because I didn't know where to go with it. And I'm quite an aggressive guy at times, and people seem to be trying to be cocky or try to, you know, flaunt that selling drugs is a fucking good thing. I'll lose my shit. And so I don't know how to go at it. So when they're doing the mirror rooms now, I've learned to get a little bit, because everybody's got a story. You cannot judge a book by its cover. You just can't. So I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, no matter male, female, or whatever they are, you know, dig into a little bit, find a little bit about themselves, and you can read their face. There's something beyond that aggressive look that is quite sad. So let them get their story out, you know, and you just don't know what's going to come out. So no, we don't know what's coming. It comes out in the minute, and sometimes I'm like that. You know, behind my face, I'm going, what the fuck, poor thing. I can't show that, because I'm like, you know, that is terrible. That's awful. And then I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, right, where can I relate to what they're going through? And most of the time, we've been there. Not, you know, we've seen it and done it through our work or our personal life. And you just, how am I going to help them deal with this now? Okay, let them talk a little bit more, get off, and you can see when they're enough, stop it there. Knock them down, build them back up again now. Build them up. So those stories, you just don't know what's going to come out.
Can you spot the winners when you see the recruits, when you get to know them a little bit? Are you like back in the camp with Foxy going, they're winning, definitely, or he's not got a chance, she's not got a chance, or definitely him or her?
I think I'd say about 80% can go gone by day one, by day two. You can roughly get that right, but there's always a shocker in the lock. There's always somebody. And just lately, the women have really, not that, you know, they shouldn't, but some of the smaller women have just gone, where the hell has she just come from?
tough as women.
They're carrying the the weight, almost their own fucking body weight, because they don't get any there's no alleviation because of your size and your weight, and because you're female, everybody carries exactly the same.
Wow, so they carry the same weight as the men, which are usually
Absolutely.
twice their weight. That's something.
Yeah, I know. And genetically they're not built the same. Women have smaller frames, but there's no because everybody carries exactly the same weight. Everybody does exactly the same task. Everybody gets spoke to exactly the same. That's what I'm saying. It's you want to talk about equal opportunities right here. You wanted to come on here. You wanted to do the SAS so-called challenge, as it is for the TV. There's the bar. We're not lowering it for anybody.
On that note, though, in real life, you don't have women in the SAS, do you?
No, it's open to the SAS. The SAS is open to women. It's just no woman at the moment has done it.
Yeah.
We've worked with women. I've worked with women in the SAS, attached to the SAS, which are brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Their role for the women to do, they are brilliant, and it's dangerous and ballsy. Eventually, a woman will get in. I'm pretty sure, but that's one woman.
Mark, just sort of wrapping up this, you've been from a fighter boy to an SAS hero, bodyguard of celebrities, a TV star. Who is the real Mark Billy Billingham?
You just summed up that person you just said there. No, I guess that's a question I guess you should ask my wife. I mean, I'm an emotional person. I think I try to stay humble as much as I can. I'm a very generous person. I honestly, if a wage packet to me is putting a smile on somebody else's face, me and the wives, I would say 80% of our life right now is helping other people because we can, we should, and it's brilliant. Like I've already alluded to our program out in Haiti. Just knowing those little kids of little shits like I was, but not their fault. I at least I had a choice. They don't have a choice. So, they're orphans and they're living on the street, and just see them putting them through schools, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. We watch them grow, and now these kids we've had off the street, some of them are working in our factories. They've got their own clothes, they've got their own education, they've got their own money, they've got their own property, it's amazing. And they're managers of factories. It's brilliant.
And what I'll do is I'll take the link, or we'll get the link for your charity, and we'll put that in the show notes. You're also doing, and I've got to mention this, a UK tour where people can actually sit and listen to you on stage by being interviewed. What can audiences expect from that, and what can they take away?
They can expect a lot less. What they won't be getting is quotes and statistics that make no sense. Little take a bite of the earth, take a negative, do nonsense. I don't do any of that. What they'll get is the truth. They'll get a journey, which is my journey of trials and tribulations and lessons learned. And I'll tell you now, from a 9-year-old to an 80-year-old, from a poor person to a rich person, everybody walks away going, wow, I've learned so much. Because some of it you'll relate to, some of it, you'll go, wow, that's how you deal with that. So everybody goes away with it. It's great. I love doing it. So yeah, that's what it's about. It's about my life's journey. I'm not telling people how to live their life. I tell them how to live mine, and all the lessons learned. Going from, a poor background to having nothing and being in a lot of trouble and almost being killed at the age of 15, and another being in all sorts of trouble, to actually being decorated by the Queen, to being on TV, so you can turn your life around. So it's that sort of journey.
I mean, there were so many things. You were nearly killed in your childhood. I would advise anyone to buy your book. As I say, I was totally engrossed. It was fantastic. But Mark, my final question, and I'm gutted to come to the end of this. If you were to meet your little self, that little naughty boy, the boy that was fighting in Warsaw, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him to do more of?
I would tell him to finish his education. So get your education, be respectful to your parents and everybody around you. That's what I'd say, because I wasn't. And, people say to me, my auntie and stuff, you put the grey in your mum's head. I put my mum and dad through so much worry and stuff. I wish I'd never have done that. So just be respectful and have discipline and enjoy what you have and be a good person. Don't be a dick.
What a great moment to end. Mark, thank you so much for being a guest on my show, and I look forward to meeting you one day in person.
All right, Sonia.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, there's a new interview out every Monday, so hit subscribe and like, and you'll get it straight into your inbox.